My neighbors are fighting and it's kind of triggering me. Hi guys, today we are going to do a very focused Write With Me session on Senchi. He's just, of all the four siblings, someone who's very, he's the one that's the most undeveloped, he is the one who is most undeveloped. How come I couldn't say that? So we're going to figure him out today. And I say undeveloped, but I don't know, I have something going on here. As you can see, at his best, he's a jack of all trades with charisma that draws everyone around him into his orbit. At his worst, he is a stubborn knucklehead that falls apart when things don't go his way. So, here's the thing. I think that I want character growth for Senchi. And I just coming out of a lot of the experience that I've had with the 17-year-old boys that I've known in my life, I feel like a common characteristic or a character that I'd really like to have is the redemption of this much more internalized character. Senchi, he isn't perfect right off the bat. And I know I said there's that stubborn knuckleheadness to him, but I feel like I want him to have this growth of being someone who is not necessarily, like he's introverted, meaning he still internalizes a lot of feelings and has a lot of long times in which he is quiet. But this is a 17-year-old boy who I want to be very quiet. He doesn't really go out of his way to, I think when he is not as familiar with something, he's very quiet. I want him to be quiet overall. And I want to write him like this because I want there to be some kind of growth. And I'm not sure if this means that, I'm not sure if this characteristic of being very quiet and being an extreme internalizer means that I have to think about who his parents are and develop the parents and what effect that had on him. Because I am very much interested in that idea of generational trauma. That's something that I really want to get to, but I am wanting to avoid at least a little bit for now because I'm not sure how much that's going to have an effect on a very relatable, introverted, quiet, internalized 17-year-old boy. So yeah, that's just kind of what's floating around in my head right now. I do want to just type out, he starts out very quiet. And something that I know about Senchi right now is that he doesn't have a father character. He doesn't have like a mentor. He doesn't have a father figure. And I'm sure this will play into his kind of psyche later on or as he kind of develops. Because Orth is going to be his father figure. And as Orth is for all the siblings. Sorry, I talked a lot last week because of just social interaction and my voice is a little bit raspy right now. So I wanted to start out very quiet, and I think it's just because this is the image of, a young 17-year-old boy who doesn't quite have an idea of what masculinity means to him. So I'll write that. Doesn't have an idea of what masculinity means to him. He doesn't know what it looks like to be brave. And I think that's a big centerpiece to... Sorry, I just got a text. I lost my train of thought. He doesn't know what it looks like to be brave. He starts out very quiet. He doesn't have a father figure. Doesn't have an idea of what masculinity means to him. And I think I like it. I I like that we're getting into this, and I like that he doesn't start out perfect. And he is a jack of all trades in a sense. Like when he I have an idea, like when he pursues things, he wants to be good at it right off the bat. He doesn't know what it looks like to be brave. So that means that he's not brave right at the outset. And I'm sure there's going to be character shaping events that happen to him that make him suddenly take the turn of wanting to be brave, a protector of his family. And I think him entering into this new world and facing life-threatening danger is what triggers him to understand that he needs to be brave, and obtain the power necessary to protect. So something that while I was writing that, I was thinking, when I wrote the words obtain the power necessary, I'm thinking about his like alignment. As far as I know, Mai is kind of this, Mai and Ki are very, well, Ki I think is more neutral good, whereas Mai is a true, or what is it? I don't know. There's neutral good and, I think Ki is like a chaotic good. Mai is a lawful good. I think that Senchi might end up being chaotic neutral. I'll have to look at what that alignment means exactly. But yeah, and then I'd say that Nia is a true-ish neutral, or neutral good, or lawful evil. But yeah, and in any case, I think that it's kind of this question. Something that I've always been curious about is the proclivity to steal out of survival. And I want this to be a part of something that he does to help the kids survive. And something that's not necessarily unfamiliar to him is his tendency to steal. And I think this comes out of his, he doesn't have an ability to express his needs. He doesn't like to rely on others. Okay, so let's write this down. So his tendency to steal, ? Rooted in his inability to express his needs and rely on others. As the oldest, and I'm assuming that the kids don't come from like a very well-off family. They may have come from a family where their needs were either set to the side, or they needed to figure out I don't know, ways to manipulate the world to get what they needed to survive. So a tendency to steal, and that's rooted in blah 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 blah, rely on others. Something else about in my first try of trying to film this video, which you guys didn't miss much. It was like 5 minutes, but I did want to say that he doesn't know how to express himself. He spends a lot of time internalizing and doesn't know how to make sense of and communicate his feelings, which is very much a foil to Ki. So Ki is the baby of the family, and he is very much the opposite of Senchi in the way that Ki gets hyperfixated on things. He talks people's ears off. He can't stop talking. He has deep empathy and is so quick to express how he feels in this very, pure and wholesome way, but very childlike way. Whereas Senchi has lost, or not even lost, but has never been able to develop that soft skill of his, of expressing his needs, because he feels like, being the oldest, he has no one to rely on. And that's just how he has developed. And I think this is true, and I hope this ends up connecting with a lot of young men who feel like there's no one for them to lean on. And it's definitely, I don't know if it's like a healing thing for me, but it is hard, and it's always been hard for me to empathize or understand whether it is a boy or a girl, mostly guys in my life, those who don't know how to communicate their feelings. Because I am constantly and always trying to look at people and understand them and empathize with them. And, when I'm stuck guessing at someone's feelings or guessing at, how they feel because they don't know how to make sense of their own, meanwhile, I am there hyper examining my own feelings, trying to make sense of my feelings, Google searching personality types, like all that stuff. We have this very different character who is, I don't know, not necessarily a wall, because it may look like that person is just a wall from the outside. But they do have so many things going on the inside that just hasn't been cultivated, that hasn't taken form yet. There's just this, not necessarily a lack of direction, but maybe a lack of direction. I'll figure out a better way to put this. But I wrote he doesn't father figure when I should have said he doesn't have a father figure. Okay. He doesn't have an idea of what masculinity means to him. He doesn't know what it looks like to be brave. Him entering into this world and facing life-threatening dangers, what triggers him to understand that he needs to be brave and obtain the power necessary to protect. And out of this, I think there's going to be maybe this event, because he does, we have this moral argument or moral dilemma of him wanting to either cut corners maybe, or even, steal for the sake of stuff that he needs. And I think definitely a growing point for him, as we've written here, is that he needs to learn to rely on others. An example that I'm just thinking of from the top of my head is he goes and he needs maybe gear. He needs something that he thinks is going to help him in his training, or he really wants something and he wants to go out and get it for Ki, but he might not think that he might want to obtain it as soon as possible, or he thinks that he'll never obtain it. Or obtain the money necessary. So he maybe steals money from Orath, or steals the thing completely in order to give it to Ki or to use for himself. And for Orath, who cares about him deeply and understands what it means to be a young boy, I think will probably come to come to Senchi and want to almost correct that behavior very lovingly. And try and get Senchi to understand that he can rely. He could have asked Orath, or he can rely on him, and it's okay, and that he's protected. Because the whole point of, I don't know, I feel like a big part of Senchi's growth is Orath needs to be there as his father figure to teach him what it means to be protected. He wants to protect his siblings, but who's protecting him? Hi guys, this was just a clip preview of the full Write With Me sessions. For access to exclusive behind the scenes Webtoon content and full Write With Me sessions, check out my Patreon or Discord subscription below.